guys, welcome to episode 3 of Chaii and Charcha. Now, today's guest, I have known him for more than 2 decades. I'm not that old, but I have known him for more than 2 decades. But I feel as if I still don't know him. As is with every Chaii and Charcha, we always do a little bit of background research on our guests. And as I was learning about my guest today, I realised there's so many amazing things that I do not know about him. So I am super excited to be able to have him on my yellow sofa so I can find out exactly those things that I didn't know about him. This guest can only be described in 2 words. He is super famous and he belongs to the amazing rugby industry. So let me introduce you to the fabulous Dr. Ikram Butt. Hello.
Hi, Pepper. How you doing?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm too kind and generous with your words. It's great to be here and thank you for inviting me.
We're going to talk about everything to do with your life and what you've done, and you know what, I'm super inspired because we all know you for your contribution to rugby, in particular for people from our communities being in a sport like rugby.
Yeah.
I'm going to start though by talking about your early childhood. Now.
Yeah.
You're a Leeds boy, we forgive you. Being a Bradford girl, everybody who lives in Yorkshire will know what I mean by that. Anyway, but growing up in Leeds, you grew up without a father figure from the age of about 12, I think.
Yeah, about 11, 12.
How would you say that your life was shaped? What was home like after, you know, you lost your father and, you know, let's say you're about to enter your teenage years, which everybody knows they're your primitive years, they really shape you and they really make you from a boy to a man.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Wow, it's like going back in another life. I do have very fond memories growing up in Leeds. Very multicultural, very friendly, very warm, very loving parents. My father was very sporty, very supportive of what we did. He boxed in the Pakistan Air Force, and so when he came over here to build new lives for us, support his family back home, like most of our parents did, we were no different. But he encouraged us taking part in all sports. He was a grandstand fanatic. On a Saturday, he would be on his chair all day long watching grandstand, to my mother's dismay. But you know, and he used to encourage us to watch and take part. Bought all the kits, the equipment, football, basket, cricket, all that sort of stuff, basketball. And that's I suppose that's where our sport came from, our genes. Even my sisters, you know, I got 3 brothers, 2 sisters, my siblings, we all took part in the sport and he pushed us towards that, so that was great. That was great in the early days. And you know, I think one afternoon, to my mother's dismay, the front room was turned into a boxing ring. Literally, we moved all the furniture aside. Yeah, so I got a brother younger than me and I got a brother 2 years older and a brother way older than us. But us 3, we was sort of like together all the time, doing stuff all the time, mainly sports. And even like sport like rugby, we was playing in the schoolyard. And the reason why we were playing rugby, as well as the sports, because Leeds, they're called Leeds Rhinos now, but back then they were called Leeds Liners. Leeds Rugby League were quite a famous team. They were doing really well. So was the football team actually. But rugby was in schools more than football, and it was something natural that we played in the schoolyard. You know, can you imagine playing in the schoolyard with hard concrete, the street which was concrete as well. But as kids, we didn't mind at all. So I think that growing up, because of the loving family, loving environment, that shaped us going forward. Even when my father passed away all of a sudden at heart attack, he was only 44. Huge loss. And when we look back, it took us a while. It took me a while to start to, you know, sink in that he's not there no more. Think he's going to come back, you know, just gone somewhere, and we'll see him come through the door. But obviously that wasn't to be. And for my mother in particular, housewife, still learning to speak English. You know, typical as all our mothers do. Our mother tongue's Punjabi, so she speaks to us in Punjabi, we would respond back in English. But the communication was fine, and we got on extremely well. I suppose more for my mother, who she became mother and father at the same time. And that was difficult for her because 3 boisterous sons. Sport was a mechanism to get away from things. It was an outlet, really. Challenge the aggression, the adrenaline, the testosterone in a different manner, rather than thinking of a career back then. Because it was something that I enjoyed. It was a safe space for me, and an outlet more than anything else.
I mean, your father sounds so... I'd love to, he's the kind of person that I would have loved to have on my Alice sofa, because a boxing career, working in the army, coming here, 2 countries, Denmark, UK.
That's right, yeah.
Worked
non-stop. My mother wasn't a bully. My dad was very tall.
Yeah.
And my mother was short.
Yeah.
And my mum used to give it to him.
Really?
Yeah, she'd be really relaxed. My dad was really relaxed. And again, that's the sport, I think, what brought the best out of him.
The discipline.
The discipline, that's right, yeah. And, he led, by an example. He was very quiet with us, but at times when we need to be disciplined, he did. But not once did we ever complain. And I just think that we didn't, as you mentioned, we didn't know him as much as others have. I speak to my father's friends after he passed away, and after the time when we got through the initial shock. Just ask what was it like, and no one said a bad thing. I'm not sure because of his size, but no one said a bad thing. So that was nice to hear. My mother spoke very fondly.
Yeah.
My mother, always classic. Not one of you. I've got 4 kids, as in brothers.
Yeah.
Siblings, myself included. Not one of you turn like your father. But that was a hard task.
Yes.
To follow.
Yeah.
And even the short time that we knew of him.
Yeah.
He was amazing. He was a huge giant of fatherhood, love, and everything that when I look up to being a father that I want to be. And sadly, he was robbed of that.
I can't imagine what it must have been like when you lost your father. But it's so lovely to hear about the strength that you got from your mum, but also your elder brother, I guess, little bits of it.
Yeah.
I'm more interested about this boxing ring you made inside the living room.
Yeah, I was 6. I think I was 6. So my younger brother, he was younger than me, so he's 5. And our Tony, he's 2 years older than me. So he was 8, and I think me and Colin Chinky, we used to be, so there's 2 of us against 1. That's how it was, because our Tony was a big lad. And I said Tony, so we'd have our neighbour, and it was such a friendly neighbourhood, was a black Jamaican called Granny Stewart. She's sadly passed away now, but that's how she was known to us. We was in and out of each of the houses in the whole street. We was in and out to, Sardars, Sikhs, Hindus, Italians, Christians. It was such a good mix, and we was all playing together late at night as well. The streets were safe then. So Granny Stewart come pronounced Rashid, because that's our Tony's real name. So she started calling Tony, and it stuck with us ever since. So a lot of people know my brother Rashid as Tony, so hence our Tony. So Tony actually played professional rugby before I did, and not a lot of people know that, because some people don't, they don't see the link, Tony Butt and Ikram Butt. They thought we were just 2 different people, but we're real brothers. And he started Leeds 2 years before I did, and he did extremely well. He played in a full season when they had lots of Australian players playing at Leeds, and he had a good year. Unfortunately, when the coach moves on, the coach comes in, things didn't go so well, but that's another story for another day. But he opened a lot of doors for me. He was a great role model. He played it well, played it hard. So he was very familiar to a lot of the players and to the clubs. So when I was knocking on the door, so to speak, it's about 15, when I was playing at grassroots, scouts would come in, and I never played for Bradford, but at 15 they invited me and two other players from our team. We sat down and we discussed with the board then about signing on, and they offered really good contracts actually. It was only 15, and I thought, you know, at that time I went to play for my hometown, Leeds. Leeds were a big club then, and so my desire to play for my hometown eventually came true. When I look back, I mean, you know, when I learn things, you never look back. You always think a journey, and you learn from that. But at the time, Leeds were a very good team. They were buying all the best players, and I felt great when that happened. But then, from a playing point of view, I was up against it, against lots of other good players, and my opportunities were far and few between. And after languishing for a number of years in the reserves and very few opportunities in the first team, I moved on. But going back to the early days, you know, my father, you know, the ingredients that he instilled in us, the respect, the sort of resilience, work ethic from his boxing, what he taught us just between each other, has stood strong till this day, and not a day goes by until we don't think about him. And you know, at the same time, my mother, who had to play both roles, you know, my mother sadly passed away now, about 10 years I think now. Alzheimer's unfortunately got to her, but you know, she became that figure, that role model, and she showed so much resilience to, you know, to get two daughters married off more or less straight away, which was difficult for my sisters and my mother, but they only did what they thought was best at the time.
And that era was a bit like that as well, wasn't it?
It was
getting settled.
It was.
And being
It was. And then my brothers, you know, we on many occasions we could have gone astray, and we did. We did at time. You know, we were no saints. It could have been far worse. But I think for the love of the mother that she showed us, and we knew that we didn't want to let her down too much.
Yeah.
It pulled us back, and obviously sport enabled us to channel our sort of aggression in a positive way.
She must have been, I mean, she sounds incredible, and the reason why, you know, particularly incredible from me looking in, is back at that time, in that era, your father obviously was a boxer in the army, very well known, and South Asians, we knew two sports, cricket and boxing.
Yeah.
Rugby, what's that?
Yeah.
You know, we didn't know, and obviously here is a Punjabi mother, housewife.
Yeah.
So for you then to decide that you want to go play rugby for your brother as well,
Yeah.
you know, she must have been so open-minded firstly,
Yeah.
because as Asians we always want our kids to be doctors, engineers,
Yeah.
and whatever, the traditional careers, which, like I said, in that area was all about security and stability. And rugby is something we don't know,
Yeah.
rugby is something we've never played, rugby is something we've never seen either. So what was it like? Did you have to convince her, or, you know, what was that support like? Because obviously after her husband's left, her sons are the ones who need to step up to then help run the family.
Yeah.
And there's responsibilities with that.
Very much
And
so.
here's you and your brother choosing to play a sport that's very alien to our communities. But not just to our communities, it's also not a sport that would normally be associated with people from working class backgrounds. So it's not just South Asians, but also working class people at that time very seldom made it into rugby.
Very true, very much so. You know, my mother, I think my mother, because because my father supported us, and she knew how much we enjoyed that. I don't think she wanted to take that away from us, so she encouraged us. And my mother was also, you know, back in the day, the wrestling. She loved the wrestling. My mother loved it.
Wow.
So the whole physical side to it, she loved it.
And I suppose in rugby there is a little bit of tackling going on, isn't there? So,
very much so.
Yeah.
And well, she never actually physically came to watch a game. My father did.
Right.
You know, one of the proudest moments when my father was still alive. Under 11, so playing for these school boys, and we'd gone to play in a curtain raiser at St Helens, Knowles Road. So the first team leads, all the big names, big stars were playing, but we played in a curtain raiser before them. And Saints still had a big name, Leeds still had a big name. My dad came to watch us, and he came to watch other games as well, but that was in a professional environment. One of the highlights back then. But my mother never came to watch. She's seen games on videos during my sort of latter career, and she used to say, you know, why am I not running fast enough? Oh, why didn't I pass the ball? So that it was. I found that tough to take it from your mother. You got the support from her, but she gave us some. She was my biggest critic.
The usual Asian parent, we're the most competitive, aren't we?
Yeah. So, but that made you want to do even more better.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
your mother was supporting you.
Yeah.
You know, there's another story there. So my brother, you know, people say, well, what happened to him? When you mentioned yourself, Asian household. My eldest brother was married, he had a family of himself, so he was living there, trying to take care of them. So my brother Tony, he sort of sacrificed his development, his pathway, his career to earn that living full time. Because initially, when I signed pro at 17, I was playing for the reserves, and it was great. It was a whirlwind initiation because I was actually working on a site, labourers building site. And signed pro, and it was only part-time. And I got a call saying that I'd been called up to the Great Britain under-19s, I was only 17, squad against France in St Helens. So I got picked up from the site where I was, got brought home, got all my stuff, and then got drove down to St Helens. That's where we were based. And then the next day we were playing in St Helens against France. Generally speaking, so we were under 19s, they were under 24s, a bit older. And I scored on my debut, so it was a whirlwind sort of initiation. And I thought, you know, the world's at my feet. But then I was brought to, feet to the ground because all the big players at Leeds, I found myself waiting for the next sort of opportunity. But Tony sort of took the lead role in the family, even though he was only 2 years older than me. But it took a huge responsibility for working during the daytime, working in the evening, just to bring the finances home to help keep the whole household going. My mother wasn't working, she was a housewife. And then she took jobs working for people at their homes, cleaning and things like that, literally cleaning, ironing. So obviously we wanted to do as well as best as we can, so she has to do that, and it took us a while to get to that stage, but we was able to do that. But so I owe a lot to our Tony, sacrificing his career. I think we worked it out, and he could have gone a long way, but I think I probably had more opportunity than he did, so it was a sensible decision. But still, it must have been tough for him to give something away, because he had a passion, he was really good, as well known, to allow me to go through. So that was very, very fitting of him to do that.
Wow, what an inspiring brother.
Absolutely.
Amazing. So who saw the potential in you first? Was it your brother? Was it you? Was it something?
My father, first and foremost, because he pushed us that way. Never, unfortunately, the other Asian friends at school we were playing, but they weren't allowed to continue that development after school. Education, as most Asian families, and ours was no different. It's just that we struggle to get to any sort of level when it comes to the academia. I tried hard, I really did. Probably not hard enough. So I got to say, my mother, my brother, my sisters first and foremost, because we were very supportive, close-knit family, and then school teacher, and then coaches, because there was my next extended wider family, because I spent a lot of time playing sports. And initially, rugby was a sport that I was able to look back on with fond memories, but like most kids, I want to play cricket, I want to play football. So my claim to fame, so to speak, before I got into rugby, was football. I was playing for Leeds City schoolboys, and the one and only Dave Batty, who went on to play for England, and in the World Cup, was in the same sort of age group. But it was tough. It was tough, and whilst I say we didn't have support mechanism there, I still didn't have it in that area, or area, shall I say. Rugby, I suppose I had more people to call upon. Football, it wasn't, which was a shame. So when I think back, I had all the ingredients. I was in the squad. Most of the squad were playing for Yorkshire in England, and I got in as a 15-year-old. And when I think, if I had something to push me in that area, it might have been an area that I could have done better. But we would never know. And rugby became, or was, more natural. I felt more comfortable. It's an area where I pushed even further.
I'm so glad that we've got you, and you made it to the history book. So whoever saw that potential, mum, brother, coaches,
fantastic.
We're so thankful to you. I just want to go back to talking about the fact that your early years were without a father figure, and that's very important for children. I think contributions. Obviously, mums get a lot of credit, and rightly so, in my opinion.
Yes.
But I think they get a lot of credit. But I think the contribution is always on both sides, because nobody knows the real dynamics of how a house runs or how a family functions, and therefore everybody has a role to play. You have 3 children who have done incredibly well. I mean, I see your social media, and recently you shared something about your daughter, Dr. Amina Butt, I would like to say, a dentist now, from studies in Bulgaria as well, not traditional roots. So that's incredible to see. But growing without a father figure, you obviously don't know what a father is like towards his children, because you've not experienced that.
Yeah.
And becoming a parent, people know that you don't get given a manual to be a parent or to be a father. So what was it like for you raising 3 children?
Yeah.
And that too in a profession that was quite not a 9 to 5 really. And you were in different parts of the country at times, probably different parts of the world.
Yes.
But this is a career that has really shaped you, but also has really contributed. Had it not been for you, we wouldn't see people like us in the field of rugby.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you about your role as a father.
Right. Put me on the spot. I can't take all the credit, obviously. The mother has been a fantastic mother, fantastic educator, and has brought them up extremely well. I have 2 girls and a boy. The 2 girls were planned. The boy wasn't planned, but he's such a lovely kid, very much a tight-knit family. As you said, there's no manuals for bringing up kids or being a father, because we've never been one before. Before when I was getting married, arranged marriage, and at the time I was playing at Featherstone, and Busha, my wife, a Leeds girl, and so we thought I was staying in Leeds, and then all of a sudden things turned overnight with Rugby League. Sky came, got involved, bought the whole competition, and Super League came into being, and I got offered to go to London, and I took the opportunity to go to further my career, or at least at the time I thought I was going to further my career. And then my mother-in-law at the time, or my future mother-in-law at the time, was kicking off, saying that I withheld that information to them, and I said, I didn't know at the time. And my father-in-law said, at least he's not going to Australia or New Zealand, considering. So that was a bit of a touchy start to start off with. But my first child, Amna, my eldest, who recently, as you mentioned, quite right, so graduated as a dentist with a title of doctor, because they spent 6 years over in Bulgaria. And at the time when I was being told that Amna was going to Bulgaria, I was totally against it. Not for any other reason apart from I didn't want her to go from home. I was worried, and I felt that she'd be better off studying in Leeds, Bradford, or wherever she wanted to do in the UK, do a dentistry here. But I found out a week before that she was going, because I was totally against it. Then I'm told that they ganged up and the decision's been made, and I had to take her to Bulgaria 3 days to organise an apartment for her. So we flew out, and I didn't know anything about Bulgaria. But then when I got on the phone, I made a few phone calls, and pleasant surprise that lots of people that I knew had nieces, nephews, children there, and had been there, and it's not a bad place to be, and she'll enjoy the experience. So I felt much better. We got her accommodation, really pleased with that. And the story about I mentioned in the 5th year, so you've got to get your own patients in Bulgaria, and they don't turn up. You fail your exam. So she was struggling to get a patient to do a root canal surgery, and that one of my front teeth was knocked out when I was a 15-year-old, and it was sort of dead since then. So she asked me to go to my dentist to get it approved. And so my dentist said that it needs a root canal surgery. So when we flew over to Bulgaria, we went to see her lecturer, and he refused initially. Said no, it's not appropriate. And so my doctor burst into tears, because if we can't get anybody else in a day or two, alongside a filling surgery that she had to do. So we went back, had an appointment with the dean. She saw me and she did all the tests, hot and cold, on my tooth, and said, look, we'll do it, but only on condition, no anaesthetic. And I thought to myself, this is it, talk about sacrifices for your children.
The father goes
That's
through.
right, yeah. And I thought, this is it. I was deep down, I was praying. I was telling people, look, if I don't make this through, do X, Y, Z. I wasn't a fan of dentist in the first place. Needles, just a side needles and a drill as well. But surprisingly, when she put the drill on my tooth, I didn't feel a thing apart from irritation, but no pain. So that was a huge relief.
So just to get this straight,
Yeah.
you flew all the way to Bulgaria to be your daughter, who's a student, not a qualified dentist at this moment in time.
5th year.
5th year.
Yeah, doing the practicals.
To have your root canal done.
That's right, yeah.
With no anaesthetic.
No anaesthetic, and even though I'm going over, I'm hoping that we'll find somebody. So I'm being there. So I'm telling my daughter, don't worry, darling, I'm there for you.
Yeah.
So I want to build her confidence up. But I'm thinking, if we get somebody else, then I'm out. But we couldn't get anybody else, and I was patient. But then I was relieved when the surgery was done. Then right at the end, there was sort of a glass there with some sort of, I think it was disinfectant, but it was alcohol, and she knocked it over by accident. I think I was nervous, and it came alight next to the burner. And I thought she's failed. After all that, we've gone through the actual surgery, she's passed. Then a minor accident, it's failed. But they were okay, because that had nothing to do with the actual surgery itself.
And she's now passed, hasn't she?
She's graduated, she's a doctor. She's a real doctor. I'm a fraud, my title. She's a real doctor.
But that there must be something really nice going on inside you, knowing that, she's...
If anything, because I think, so my attitude to parenthood and my sort of relationship with my children is similar to how I coach or manage my teams, create an atmosphere, space for my children to feel comfortable, confident, and grow. So nothing too tight on them. Let them make the mistakes. So my players, they'll only learn by making mistakes. So let them make mistakes. Don't come too hard on them. Down hard on them, and let them grow like that. But just going back a year where we missed our daughter's graduation, my youngest one, Ruqayya, at King's College in London. She doing geography. Then she was working, then she took some time out, and she wanted to do a master's. She's always wanted to do a master's, but at the time when she passed that King's College, COVID hit us. So she got a job and was working. In the line of work that she's doing, that she's studying. So she passed her masters, and we all went as a family to Leeds University for her graduation. She proudly wore her Palestinian scarf on stage. But she nearly broke down. She didn't break down. She nearly broke down when the chap called her name and got it completely wrong. She had waited a full year to go on stage, pick my sort of, documentation up, and then for him to get the name wrong. So she was upset, and I wrote something about that because for us in particular, names are very powerful. There's a meaning.
Yeah.
Rukia was named after her mother's mother.
It's my mother's name.
Rukia, mashallah, has a beautiful name, and she's a beautiful young girl, just as your mother, amazing woman. I wrote something similar about that then, how important it is to get the names right.
No, absolutely, and I think well done on you for sacrificing yourself like that.
Yeah.
But also standing up for the daughter whose name
Yeah.
Because I grew up with my parents are amazing, like everybody's parents, but they didn't have the privilege of an education. Yeah. So that way I think the kids in our generation are a bit lucky that we actually understand these things and we understand the importance. If it was my father, he'd think, it doesn't matter, it's just your name, it doesn't matter, you've still got your degree. Yeah. And that's how he would see it. And I like the fact that you've seen the importance of the value of making sure that her name was pronounced correctly and why that meant so much to her as well. Yeah. Obviously a proud father, I'm sure they're proud of their father as well. How do they see you and your career and what you've achieved?
Yeah, I think they're pleased. They're proud. Every now and then they'll say sweet things to me. That they're proud of me and all that. It's a difficult sometimes because when I put my arm around them, tell them how much I'm proud of them, how much I love them, and I like to do that often because I didn't get that opportunity from my father. So I want to share that with them, but also I just want, because it's a tough world out there. I want to know that they have my support. But sometimes it's the feedback I get is, well, you're a father. You're always going to be that way. I'm thinking, oh, geez, how hard is this? It's very difficult to get that across to them. No. Even if I wasn't your father, I still would love you just as much as I do now because you're great kids and going to be great role models. But I think I think they're proud. Yeah.
Well, we certainly are. We definitely are proud. Speaking of proud, let's talk about your journey now in rugby because that's what you're well known for.
Yes.
You're very well known for being the first South Asian player to represent England in rugby league.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a huge, huge milestone, and you're in the history books now for that. That's a legacy that will live on, and the community is incredibly proud of you for that achievement. But I'd like to know what that moment meant for you personally. We know what it means to us, and we know what it means to the community, and how many doors now will be opened off the back of that. But what does it mean to you? What did it mean to you getting into the history books and being known as the man who's actually created that legacy?
Yeah, well, at the time I don't think you realise the impact that you're having on other people and the community itself and how proud other people are. I was 25 at that time, probably the height of my career. I had a couple of good seasons. It wasn't as simple to get there, and even then when I got there, there were lots of fast wingers, master fire, they call them chariots because they're that fast. John Bentley, Jason Robinson, who was a lot younger than me, but he came on the scene very quickly and certainly rose to the heights with his Billy Whiz speed. So I was up against lots of good wingers, so to be picked amongst some great players was quite an achievement in itself. But it wasn't easy to get there, and I'll just tell you a little story how I got there. So when I signed for Leeds I was 17, chuffed a bit, but I signed for my hometown, but didn't realise the opportunities were going to have few between. And that's probably, you know, where a father figure might have helped. And I had my brother, he had been at Leeds, and he held his own. He played a full season at Leeds against some really good teams back then in the 80s. It was really tough. I never got anywhere near that. I played one game, as in the first team game, languishing in the reserves. We had a great reserve team. We won everything. And I think that's where the confidence came in, because I was playing in a good team. We was winning every week. We won all the major tournaments. So I was tasting success. I knew what success tastes like. And I was enjoying myself. But after 2 or 3 years, it was seemed to get a little bit boring. You know, I needed some other higher sort of level of game time. And you know, Peter Fox, who signed me, the great Peter Fox, he's one of 3 great players, brothers, they're all famous. One, Neil Fox, probably one of the greatest players in history. They sacked Peter after 3 weeks, so the coach who just signed me was gone. He had his troubles, did Peter, but you know, he's known in folklore as one of the greatest coaches ever in this game of rugby on both sides of the world. We talk about the northern continent and also the southern, where Australia is. And then we had another former Great Britain coach came, so Maurice Bamford, and then after Maurice he got sacked after a year. So I was always in the good company. I was always in the first team squad, and I was always re-signed each year as a potential first team player. And then after 4 years I thought I need to get away now, and I took an opportunity to go to Australia, because you know, Australia at the time still is. We've got the test matches as we speak. Was the best place to play rugby, to learn, and I got an opportunity to go out there in 1990 to play in Chinchilla, just outside of Brisbane, or 4 hours outside of Brisbane, in the bush, literally a bush town. I got to experience, and it was an amazing experience, and. It was while I was out there, Peter Fox, he'd gone to Featherstone then. Featherstone, a traditional mining town, great traditional rugby players. And he said, I've got a position on the wing. And I said, well, can't I play centre? And he mentioned Paul Newlove was gone down as one of the best players ever. And Terry Manning, another colleague of mine who was a great player. And I knew both of them extremely well, and I knew how good they were. And I said, wing is good enough. And this was on a Friday call that I had, and I'm flying back, it was during the week, I'm flying back on the Friday, the game was on Sunday, I made my debut, Yosh Cup, and I scored on my debut, so it was a whirlwind start to my career in the first team, and I never looked really back since then, and things developed. Peter sort of moved on after 3 years, but he made me into an average player into a good player. So I was never a great player. I never was. When I look back, I was consistent. I had a good work rate. I had a good sort of work ethic, and I had to work hard, because it didn't come natural. But I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that game. And that stood me in good stead. And then after a couple of years, international hours, I got the opportunity to I knew scouts were looking, I knew people were talking, but certainly not as a regular, because they give opportunities to people, pat on the back, well done. And at the time we had a lot of the competition in Australia, so a lot of the wingers were in Australia, so hence I got my debut. It was 1995 European Championships, and we were playing at Ninian Park against Wales. The Welsh are very passionate about the sport, playing on their home turf. It was live on Sky. So when I got the call to first say I'd been selected, it was really surreal, because whilst we dream about playing for your country, and I always did, I never thought it'd ever come true. So to get a call to say you've been selected, it took a while to sink in, And even when I did, I was doing a few interviews, and I still had to pinch myself if it was really happening. And the whole, I'm training with players that I knew I've been playing against, but it's at a different level now. The level has stepped up. It was more competitive. It was much faster, as then I had to get used to. And then on the day itself, the build up was huge. I can go on forever with the build up. I'm sort of fast tracking here. In the change rooms where you wearing the England kit, and I was lucky enough to play for Great Britain 6 times as a junior under 19s. So I'd tasted international honours. Some of the players that was in that change room were the same players that I'd played on a number of occasions against France. So I've tasted the international level and knew what it was like. But still, we're men now. It's open age, and you're against the best in the world. So, like most games, you feel 10 foot tall, wearing the England kit, listening, rubbing shoulders with each other before you go out, psyching each other up. It was such a huge, momentous occasion. I was so proud. At the time, I was thinking about myself as somebody who was playing against some of the best players, looking forward to it, and the impact it had on my family. They were so proud, and everybody who supported me through that journey.
Wow, that's some detail there about your journey into rugby and how it all happened. I just want to go back to that moment in the changing room.
Yeah.
What a moment, putting the jersey on, representing your country, being the only Asian player in that changing room. Can you talk us through those emotions?
Change rooms, for England, you go back to England, so these are the players that I looked up to, I played against on a number of occasions. Great players, some are world class, but all good people, and being part of that nucleus was just amazing, really. Brotherhood at its best. The team talks, the meetings, throughout the day, in the evenings, staying away together, the bonding that we're having, for one result of we're going to win, but we can only win by being together, doing things together. So we'd do games, as a winger, my centre partner, we sort of link together, we do things together where when we're on the field it comes natural. That was the whole idea of the whole environment, and it was surreal. It really was, because I'm up against some great players, going to play against some great players. It was like an extended family. People that, there's a lot of love in that room, a lot of passion in that room, emotions really high, and you just want to get out onto the field. So you're feeling 10 foot tall. I mean, most games in the changing rooms, no matter where you are, a good coach will, ensure that 2 minutes or a minute before you get to the park, you really want to go out and give it your all. And some coaches have different styles. Peter Fox was a master of emotions. He would encourage all his players and talk to them. He literally would talk to us 5 minutes just before the game, how great he was and how great his brothers were, literally, and tell a few tales. But we all enjoyed that, and we wanted to go out and put our body on the line for him, and literally sacrifice our bodies to win that game for him. That's how I felt with Peter. At the time, Ellie Hanley was the coach for England, known as a Black Pearl, gone down in history as one of the greatest players of all time, and one of the best coaches of all time. And he had a different style altogether, but he commanded respect. He had the aura. Whatever he said, you just did, because he'd done it himself. So he wasn't asking you to do anything that he couldn't do or didn't do. So you respected that. So it was a different type of style, but you still felt the same before you went out onto that pitch.
Do your background ever make a difference for you? Like, you're the only Asian man in that changing room, the only Asian man to start playing rugby at this level, but also from a working class background. And, there were very few, if any, Asian people, but also, as we mentioned earlier, there was a class difference between league and union. Did that ever make a difference for you?
Yeah, at times it did. In situations when we were training in different club environments, different clubs. I mean, throughout my career, after Leeds, I thought I was just going to be a one-man club at Featherstone. I never thought, in my wildest dreams, I'd move. Then Rugby League changed overnight. Super League came, and I found myself going to London for a couple of years. But in various clubs, it did. Featherstone was really interesting. And I say it was a miracle to play a club like Featherstone and do so well, because as you mentioned, class, it's a traditional working class club. It's a village actually. Players would come out of the mining pits to come and play rugby. Literally, that's how it was. Predominantly white environments and very few Asians at all, if any. And I certainly broke that mould when I was the first Asian. I was the first Asian to play rugby, never mind for Featherstone. But I say it was a miracle to play for a club like Featherstone, to come away. I was selected, very fortunate to be selected in the team of the century, to be taken in by the spectators, by the club, as one of their own. And I felt that as well. That's how I say it was a miracle. There were instances, but again, I could say that in other clubs that I've been to, I'm not going to tarnish one group of individuals or players or coaches where there was some negativity because of my colour, race, religion. Overall, it was very, very positive, and we was able to ride anything what came against us. Now there's more procedures in place, policies in place, a better understanding and awareness about things like this. The whole inclusion is in place, where back then there wasn't. So it was tough. It really was tough. But I was playing a sport that I wanted to play. I enjoyed it, and I wasn't going to let some negativity stop me playing. When I'm talking about at Featherstone, playing a group of people that I call brothers, playing for England, a group of players are called brothers. When I play for Great Britain, 6 times 19s, brothers. To this day, when I see them, we hug, we get emotional. We talk about the good times, travelling, touring, playing week in, week out, we together. It's become an extended family to this day.
Did that then continue being a victory for you, or did it become a responsibility later on that now I have to sustain this, I have to keep delivering, I have to keep representing people like me in this sport? What was it like, victory or responsibility going forward? I
think it's a bit of both, if I'm honest about it. Initially, the victory I wanted to continue doing well, being part of a sport that's been really good to me, that's made me, that's supported my ambitions, and a responsibility where I think we all have responsibility and the duty. If you can do something that's going to open doors, opportunities for the people, I think we must take that. And I think far too often those people in those positions don't take that opportunity or don't take the responsibility at hand to enable others to come through. And because I've been through a journey where I've been fortunate, and I say that because it wasn't easy, it was difficult. And even now, in the stage of my career where I'm doing something different but still in the same ethos, is very, very challenging. I enjoy what I do. I like to see more people from my background succeed. We haven't spoke too much on the subject of the whole race, gender discrimination, prejudice now Islamophobia, which is coming into some of the sports bodies. That's been there. It's always been there, in my opinion, and I think now we're better equipped to challenge it more. There's some examples of horrendous cases that we've seen and heard, and that's unacceptable in any shape or form. So there's certainly a lot of work to be done, and if collectively we can work together, I think we've got a better chance of tackling those issues and making sport and society a better place to live, work and play.
Speaking of right and wrong, and I hope you don't mind me asking you this, but I found out that you've experienced being locked up. And when I say locked up, yes guys, I do mean being in prison.
Yes.
Can you tell us, can you shed us some light on this? And obviously we're talking about a long time ago.
Yes.
But it's an experience you've had, isn't it?
It is indeed. And at the time I was told I wouldn't be the last, and there was many. Not to make fun or you know, gloat in something that I made a huge mistake at the time. You know, so the not guilty. Before we go further, no, I was guilty.
Don't worry, none of us are judging you. Don't worry.
I was guilty.
We still see you as that amazing.
I look back at that as one of the saddest days of my life. Again, for myself, but my family and all the friends who were
just for our
supporting me.
viewers, how long ago was it?
Yeah, so 1995. So
wow.
So it was
30 years ago.
on the back of huge success on the field on the park. I played for England, and then a big move to London, getting married, and I was married at the time.
Big changes in your life.
Absolutely,
huge.
yeah, a huge shut down, so to speak, and it was literally it was wrong what I did. I was driving a car in Leeds without an insurance, and so that doesn't sound too bad on the face of it, but I gave my brother's name, and that's when the Judge Hoffman, well-known judge at the time, took that extremely in regards to perverse cost of justice, to take that very, very seriously. So whilst the barrister that I had at the time argued the whole Cantona scenario, it would better spent doing community work rather than getting sent down. Custodial sentence, yeah. But the judge said that because of that he found no other way of dealing with the situation. So it was a driving offence at its worst, but nevertheless it was a huge mistake that I made, and it cost me 3 months of my life, my married life. I was married at the time, and huge shame to the family at the time. So at the time it was all I wanted to do was hide under the ground.
Yeah, it must have been devastating because you just got married, like you said, so it's still a new relationship, arranged marriage, and you're just about to start getting into. Yeah, I mean, London.
Yeah, they're probably thinking, geez, they've just signed a player, and all this has happened. The other side, so it was the whole rugby league fraternity came to my support. I had letters from the chief exec at the time. Fans that I didn't even know that I had wrote letters in. The club appealed against the decision, and I felt a lot of love from the rugby community. Other clubs that I hadn't played for were sort of writing in. But nevertheless, it was a time that when I look back, I let everybody down. I really did, and things could have been worse. So it was a period of time that when I look back, it wasn't great. But again, after the initial period where my mother wouldn't even speak to me, you can imagine what that was like, and without no father, no husband, So when I look back, that's where that hurt most, I think. Letting my mother down, my family, my immediate family, and all my friends who supported me, and colleagues and the wider rugby fraternity. But I'm, I can't. There's no way out of it. It was a huge mistake that I paid my time for. A huge loss. If anything out of it, but I don't mind speaking about it because it happened. That's the reality of it. I don't want to hide it.
And that's really admirable because a lot of people would cover that up and think, no, I want everyone to see me as a squeaky clean, perfect human. None of us are perfect though.
No, and I'm far from it. And I made mistakes way back then. I still make mistakes now. So I like to think I'm trying to make less mistakes than I've done before. But it certainly shapes me because it wasn't easy in being inside. And then I could either, like I say, bury my head under the sand and give in, or deal with the situation at hand, make the most of it, and come out stronger and better. What it has taught me is that people who had similar experiences, that I certainly don't look at them negatively, because I know I've been there, and know others who have been there, but they've come out and changed their life to better themselves, and use that as you said about myself, as a stepping board to prove themselves and be a better person. So I certainly wouldn't judge anybody. Take people as they come, and everybody has a second and a third and a fourth chance. I wouldn't give up on anybody. I think people need inspirational role models, ambassadors, that lived experience, so they know that they can inspire other people to achieve and succeed and get out of a situation where they may think they cannot, but there's lots of possibilities and avenues to succeed.
You met the king loads of times, you've met the princes, you've met the Pope.
Yeah. We're in the Vatican on the morning, and we all go towards, and I've never been to the Vatican. I've been to Italy a few times actually, but never to the Vatican, and that was surreal. And there were thousands of people in front of us, and you could see in the distance where the Pope was. And I thought, is this it? We're seeing the Pope, and that was it. But then we got onto the horse and cart, literally a horse and cart in the Vatican. And it took us forward, and the crowd was sort of like making way for us. And we got on stage where the Pope was. It was sort of like cornered off, and there were people in front of us. But we got walked by guards to the front. So we was at the front. The Pope was doing his sermon. And then there's still a barrier in front of us. But he'd come round shaking people's hands. And he got to us, and he stopped. And clearly he'd been advised who we were. So he stopped and introduction, and we said a few words, and the Pope, the previous Pope, was a big rugby fan because he's Argentinian, so he likes his rugby. And I shook his hand, and I squeezed his hand purposely, warmly, friendly, and he squeezed my hand in return. I thought, this is amazing. Oh, wow. And I'm speaking. It was only about a minute and a half that I'm speaking to him, but still, it was like a lifetime. But then, as we were walking away, all these nurses came up to us and started to put their hands on us because we'd sort of touched the Pope, so to speak. Yeah, so they were touching us, so it sort of rub off. Yeah. And it was really surreal. When I was
bit the nurses touching you.
Yeah, sorry. Well, I said nurses. Sorry. Let me rephrase that. Not the nurses. That was another scenario that I don't want to speak about. But it was the nuns. Sorry, the nuns. The nuns were sort of coming up to us, and even the males was sort of touching us because we was just. Oh, sorry. And it was you know, you were like on air. It literally was on air. It was something special about it. Yeah. Whether it was just the whole occasion and somebody that you've been wanted to meet for a very long time, and you didn't think it was really going to happen, and it did. Yeah. Was quite surreal. It really was.
think my final question to you is, you wear so many hats, Ikram. You obviously rugby player, community leader, mentor, probably coaching as well, and you sit on so many boards. You've met royalty many times, seen your pictures with King Charles as well as Prince William and princesses. But if you had to be remembered for a legacy, out of all those hats that you wear, what would that legacy be? What would you want to be remembered for?
That's a very tough question, that is. I'd like to be remembered as just somebody who helps others through what I achieved and did. I certainly wouldn't want to give advice in a space or area that I don't know anything about. I certainly wouldn't want to do that. The sport it has been my way of life. When we encourage people to take part in sport, if they really want to be serious, they have to sacrifice many things. It's like a religion, it really is, if they want to succeed and get to the top. And what I mean to the top, I don't mean them succeeding in a way where they've been the best that they can be. Or let me rephrase that. The success is them being the best they can be. That's how I determine what success is, because not everybody can be the best, but if they can be the best they can be, and they've put 100% into their achievements, their efforts, then for me they've succeeded in what they've achieved.
And I think you've got an incredible legacy, and you're such an inspiration to me, to so many from our communities, but also to the generations coming after us. And I want to wish you all the best with all the millions of projects that you've got going. And thank you so much for being on Chaii Charcha, powered by Chaii.
Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.